Hello children, welcome to your English classes. Today we'll read chapter number 3 of the Oxford New Pathways English Reader 6. Pret in the House by Rustin Bond. It was grandmother who decided that we must move to another house. It was all because of a Pret, a mischievous ghost, who had been making life intolerable for everyone. In India, Prets usually live in peepal trees, and that's where our Pret first lived. He lived in the branches of an old peepal tree which had grown through the compound wall. It had spread into the garden on our side and over the road on the other side. For many years, the Pret had lived there quite happily without bothering anyone in the house. I suppose the traffic on the road had kept him fully occupied. Sometimes, when a tonga was passing, he would frighten the pony, and as a result, the little pony cart would go speeding off in the wrong direction. Occasionally, he would go into the engine of a car or bus, but would have a breakdown soon afterwards. He liked to knock the hats off the heads of sahibs. They would then curse and wonder at the breeze that had just sprung up so suddenly and died down again just as quickly. Although the Pret could make himself felt and sometimes heard, he was invisible to the human eye. At night, people avoided walking beneath the peepal tree. It was said that if you yawned beneath the tree, the Pret would jump down your throat and ruin your digestion. Grandmother's tailor, Jaspal, who never had anything ready on time, blamed the Pret for all his troubles. Once, while yawning, Jaspal had forgotten to snap his fingers in front of his mouth. Always mandatory when yawning beneath peepal trees, and the Pret had got in without any difficulty. Since then, Jaspal had been always suffering from tummy upsets. But it had left our family alone until one day the peepal tree had been cut down. It was nobody's fault, except, of course, the grandfather had given the public work department permission to cut the tree. It had been on our land and they wanted to widen the road. The tree and a bit of the wall were in the way, so both had to go. In any case, not even a ghost can prevail against the PWD. Hardly had a day passed before we discovered that the Pret, deprived of his tree, had decided to take up residence in our bungalow. Since a good Pret must be bad in order to justify his existence, he was soon up to all sorts of mischief in the house. He began by hiding grandmother's spectacles whenever she took them off. "I am sure I put them down on the dressing table," she grumbled. A little later, they were found balanced precariously on the snout of a wild boar whose stuffed and mounted head decorated the veranda wall. Being the only boy in the house, I was at first blamed for all this prank. But a day or two later, when the spectacles disappeared again, only to be discovered hanging from the wires of the parrot's cage, it was agreed that some other agency was at work. Grandfather was the next to be troubled. He went into the garden one morning to find all his prized sweet peas snipped off and lying on the ground. It was then Uncle Ken's turn to suffer. He was a heavy sleeper, and once he'd gone to bed, he hated being woken up. So when he came to the breakfast table looking bleary-eyed and miserable, we asked if he was feeling alright. I couldn't sleep a wink last night, he complained. Every time I was about to fall asleep, the bedclothes would be pulled off the bed. I had to get up at least a dozen times to pick them off the floor. He stared painfully at me. Where were you sleeping last night, young man? I had an alibi. In grandfather's room, I said. That's right, said grandfather. And I'm a light sleeper. I'd have woken up if he'd been sleepwalking. It's that ghost from the peepal tree, said grandmother. It moved into the house. First my spectacles, then the sweet peas, and now Ken's bedclothes. What will it be up to next? I wondered. We did not have to wander long. There followed a series of disasters. Vases fell off tables, pictures fell from walls. Things got worse when Aunt Minnie came to stay. The Pret seemed to have an immediate dislike to Aunt Minnie. She was a nervous, excitable person, just the right sort of prey for the spiteful ghost. Somehow, her toothpaste got switched with a tube of grandfather's shaving cream. She appeared in the sitting room, foaming at the mouth. Uncle Ken shouted that she'd got rabies, and we ran for our lives. We'll have to leave this house, declared grandmother. If we stay here much longer, both Ken and Minnie will have nervous breakdowns. I thought Aunt Minnie broke down long ago, I said. None of your cheek, snapped Aunt Minnie. Anyway, I agree about changing the house, I said breezily. I can't even do my homework. The ink bottle is always empty. There was ink in the soup last night, complained grandfather. And so, a few days and several disasters later, we began moving to a new house. 2 bullock carts laden with furniture and heavy luggage were sent ahead. The roof of the old car was piled high with bags and kitchen utensils. Everyone squeezed into the car and grandfather took the driver's seat. We were barely out of the gate when we heard a peculiar sound, as if someone was clunking and talking to himself on the roof of the car. Is the parrot out there on the luggage rack? Asked grandfather. No, he's in the cage on the bullock cart, said grandmother. Grandfather stopped the car, got out and took a look at the roof. Nothing up there, he said. Getting in again, starting the engine, I'm sure I heard the parrot talking. Grandfather had driven some way up the road when the chuckling started again. Followed by a squeaky little voice, we all heard it. It was the Pret talking to himself. Let's go, let's go, it squeaked gleefully. A new house, I cannot wait to see it. What fun we're going to have. By Ruskin Bond. Thank you.